in this video, I'm about to show you my step-by-step strategy on how I plan on turning a $10,000 investment into $720,000 this year. And I plan on doing that by investing and yield farming Rio, aka the Realio network. Guys, I believe that the Realio network is extremely innovative and extremely undervalued. So in this video, we're going to dive into what the Realio network is. We're not going to go super deep, because on our Know It Alls channel, we made an in-depth fundamental analysis on Rio. We went through the white paper, we went through the tokenomics, we went through the team, we went through the product, we went through literally everything that you can cover. So definitely give that video a watch if you haven't. And guys, don't just watch this video and buy the token because I'm showing you this price prediction here. Actually do the research. Like, actually watch the video, do the research, go through the white paper, do all that stuff. That's how you're gonna win long term. We're just planting the seed here. So in this video, we're gonna briefly go through what Rio is. I'm gonna show you my take profit strategy on how I plan on turning 10K into 720K. And then at the end, if you stick around, I'm gonna show you my yield farming strategy on how I plan on accumulating Rio passively so I can have more to sell as we keep going into the bull, all right? So before we start, I do have to say none of this is financial advice. These are my own perspectives, research, and should be treated as such. Use this channel as a starting point, but always, always, always do your own research. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the content, starting off with what is Rio? So Rio is aiming to spearhead the real estate tokenization, private equity on-chain initiative / narrative. Their vision, as read from their white paper, it says, as a blockchain-enabled issuer, fund manager, and technology provider, our mission is to merge private equity with blockchain technologies and provide much broader global access to institutional quality investment products that create long-term value and build wealth. They aim to provide a link between the global retail investment community and cash-generating investment opportunities, opening up access to previously untapped global capital markets where transactions take place 24/7 instantly with little or no cost and without borders. So Realio essentially is a digital issuance, investment, and peer-to-peer trading platform that utilizes a proprietary distributed network for issuing on and interconnecting decentralized ecosystems. They have a unique layer 1 and layer 2 permission and permissionless architecture, and they allow investors to get approved on the platform and list their tokenized real estate or assets for sale. And it's cool because once you're inside of the walled garden, you have to be KYC as an investor and as an issuer. So that way, when you go into this community, you know that you're not buying something from someone who is illegitimate or selling something to someone who is illegitimate, right? They kind of have a walled garden around this private equity real estate tokenization platform. And in the video that we made, we talked about how the future of real estate, the oldest market in the world, the largest asset class in the world, is eventually gonna be bought via fractional ownership. So instead of having to buy a whole apartment building, you'll be able to buy it one room at a time. Or let's say you own a real estate portfolio and you have a bunch of grandkids and you don't wanna give the same amount to each grandkid because you know some are more responsible, maybe some are older. So you can give one grandkid one room, he'll get the cash flow on that. You can track on chain how responsible he's acting. You can have a smart contract that says, okay, if he does this, maybe he can have ownership of another room in X amount of years. Like, it's gonna be a lot of things that you can do. This is just the very beginning. All right, guys, so that was the soup and salad. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes and show you guys how I plan on turning 10K into 720K. And it's not all that risky and it's not all that crazy. All right, guys, so if we go on here, you can see that the fully diluted valuation is 124 million. It's not showing the market cap on here, so we went off the FDV. FDV is what major institutions use to value companies since, you know, valuing companies became a thing anyway. The market cap just takes into account the circulating supply. The fully diluted valuation takes into account the total supply, which gives you a much better gauge. And if we look at the chart here, you can see that just to get to all-time highs, we were at $5.18. Right now we're at $2.25. So that's another 2-3x from here, a little bit in between those two. But here's the good thing. You can see that this was a major area of resistance, right? This zone. You can see all these wicks touching here and touching this line, right? Now we just turn that into support, which is a bullish sign. Back when I used to trade Forex, the rule was no retest, no entry. So we saw this close above this zone on the monthly. And now if we get a green close on the monthly, this candle right here, if it closes green, that's going to say a lot. On the weekly, we already had a green close above, right? We broke above here and we had a weekly close here. So that's already confirmation, and that's when I jumped in. And also, I had a long list of projects I was researching, so I got to Rio a little late as well. But this is really, really good price action. Seeing the candle close on the weekly above a key, what was resistance zone, and now it closed as support. And I think we're going to keep climbing our way up as we get into the halving. And I think this project is just going to pump hard with the real world asset narrative, which is, if you've been watching my channel, you know it's my favorite narrative going into this bull market. So now let's go over my take profit strategy. So guys, I made an in-depth video showing you how to master the art of taking profits, going through the three triggers: the price trigger, the time trigger, and the trend trigger. If one of those things are hit, it's a good indication that maybe you should take some off the table. I won't dive into all those here. Watch that video. I'm gonna dive into the price trigger. So when you set in your take profit strategy, it's a good idea to have a conservative estimate and an aggressive estimate as to where you think price can go. And you wanna set your take profit strategy to where even if the conservative isn't hit, or if it exceeds the aggressive, you're still taking a good amount of profits, right? That's the whole goal, is to make money. So right now the current price is $2.27. The current market cap's 125 million at the time of this recording. Well, the FDV. So you're starting off with 10K. My first take profit, I'm getting risky on this one because I believe in this project, and I have other ones that I'm bullish on where I'm more conservative on my take profit strategy. So on the first take profit, I'm waiting for a 10X. So immediately the price is going to jump from 227 to 2270. My 10K is going to be worth 100K, and the FDV is going to be 1.2 billion. Market cap still going to be much smaller. So guys, that's a 10X just to get to a little over $1 billion market cap, or FDV. I think this will easily reach a $1 billion FDV, which will have the market cap significantly less than that, much lower than $1 billion. So now at 100K, I'm taking off my principal plus double. So now I just made a 100% return, and I'm in a risk-free trade. The goal should always be to get to a risk-free trade as fast as you can. So now I have 80K at my current principal. My second take profit is going to be when it does a 5X. It'll go from $22.70 to $113.50 in price. And that fully diluted valuation will go from 1.2 billion to 6.2 billion, right? So we're still under my conservative estimate. So now my 80K is going to be worth 400K. I'm taking off half. So now I have 220K in profits. So now I have 200K left. My third take profit is going to be when it does a 2.5X. That's going to turn the FDV from 6.2 billion to 15.6 billion. So now we're right in the middle of my conservative and my estimate. So I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive on my profit taking. So now my 200K is worth 500K. I'm taking off 350K in profits. I have 150K left. So now I just showed you guys how to turn 10K into $720,000. So now you're probably wondering, like, what do I do with 150K? Well, I always say you cannot time the top. You can get lucky, but you're not going to be able to do it consistently. So the more the market goes up, the closer we're getting to the top, which means the more profits I want to take, because once it drops, I want to make sure I'm happy with what I took off the table. So what I'm going to do is every time there's a 25% increase, I'm taking off 50% in profits. Super simple. So now for all of you rascals who stuck around, let's cover my yield farming strategy, and I'm going to show you guys how I plan on accumulating Rio passively. And this one's going to be a little different. All right, so first you want to go back to CoinGecko. You want to see where most of the trading is happening on the decentralized exchange. So most of it's happening on Rio, wrapped ETH on the Ethereum network. So guys, the only thing about this pair is that I couldn't figure out how to track it on my charts. So yeah, you can see this here, but this is priced in USD. Normally you want to do priced in ETH. And when I do that, I get this straight line and I can't manage it. And when I go over to Uniswap, the volume to TVL ratio isn't too bad. Like, the volume exceeded the TVL in the past day, even though the volume dropped 51%, the TVL dropped 13%. But let me tell you why I'm not going to be providing liquidity in Rio wrapped ETH, even though the volume to TVL ratio is good. The main reason is because I can't actively track it. I don't know why the chart is weird like this. It's also weird on TradingView. And even when I toggle or invert the pair, is still weird. Like when I put these prices into builder metrics, it doesn't work. I can't backtest it. I can't track it. To me, it's not worth it. It's just going to create a headache. So what I'm going to do is the other pools that I'm in, I'm going to take those rewards and I'm going to sell those rewards for Rio tokens. Always say you don't want to provide liquidity for any tokens you wouldn't hold on its own if it were to go out of range. I don't mind holding Rio or ETH, but given that it's a headache and given that the volume to TVL ratio isn't as good in other pools that I'm in, I'm down to just provide liquidity in other ones. Like, you're probably wondering, well, what if the price moons? I'm like, well, if the price moons, I have a bag of Rio just hodling, so I'll get to experience the price appreciation. When I'm providing liquidity, my goal is to not experience price appreciation. You guys know that I use 20 to 25% of my portfolio for yield farming, and the whole goal is cash flow, right? 3 prongs to a portfolio: cash flow, cash, and assets. Cash flow portion is just so I can accumulate more assets and more cash so that I can have more cash to deploy and more assets to sell when prices are cheap. And to be honest, if I were to provide liquidity for all the pairs that I'm bullish on, it would just be a huge headache because the volume of TVL, some of them are going to be very, very similar. So I might as well just do it in one of the pools that I'm in that I feel like is the best, narrow it down to the top 3. I don't get into no more than 3 or 4 pools max usually. You have other people who are managing like 10, 15 pools, and I just think that's just creating a headache for yourself when you can just keep it simple. So just to summarize again, I'm going to take the rewards from some other pools that I'm in and use those rewards to buy Rio instead of providing liquidity in the Rio ETH pool and creating a headache for myself. So that's pretty much it. If you guys like this kind of content, you like the analysis that we do, you like the take profit strategies that we show and the yield farming strategies that we show, and you want to learn how to do this professionally with professional coaches and an elite group of people, click the link in the description and book a free strategy session. You'll either talk to me or one of our coaches. We'll answer any questions, help demystify yield farming and the markets for you in general. And if it's a good fit for you, great. If not, hey, at least you learned a thing or two on the call, and we're happy to point you in the right direction. But I honestly feel like our yield farming course is the best one on the market, and I say that because I went through all of them, and that's my non-biased opinion. So guys, with that, I'd like to conclude this video. If you got value, I ask that you drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, share with a friend. I thank you so much for tuning in. I love every single one of you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and trade safe.